Right, let's carry on with this challenge. So for the next part now, we need to go and create the button that we're going to use here and hide, and also the toast. So let's quickly start with that. I'm going to start within your drawable folder. You're going to right click and say new drawable resource file, and I'm going to call this one the toast background. So let's just call it toast back, and we can even use that one for our button as well. So for the selector part here, I'm going to change it to a shape and then give that shape. So let's say it's a rectangle. Now the only thing I want to do here is to add a solid background color, and the color will be, and this is now also something new, if you want to use the styles now. So remember, we've named, there's color primary and color primary. We named it exactly the same there, although it's referring to a different color. So if I want to take the current theme's primary color, then the color value I'm going to put in there, I'm going to put a question mark, and then I'm going to refer to color primary, which means I'm going to take the primary color of the current theme that's currently selected. So if it's blue, it's going to go blue. If it's red, it's going to go red automatically. Let's add some corners, and we'll add a radius there of, let's make it 20 dp. Right, so that's my background, and that's basically where I'm going to stop with this. Right, then in my, let's quickly create the layout file for our toast. So I'm going to say on the layout, right click, say new layout resource file, and let's call this toast. And I'm going to set this as a linear layout and say OK. So there's my toast layout. What I'm going to do here is just a simple one like on the video. We're going to go to layouts, drag in a horizontal linear layout. For this horizontal linear layout, let's make it wrap its content. And now if we go to text quickly, for this linear layout, let's add an ID. You remember that we're referring to that lin_lay later on in the toast. So let's create a linear layout, and also let's create a background for this. And I'm going to also refer to here to the primary color as the background. Okay, and now let's just add one text view in there. So drag in a text view into that linear layout, and just zoom in a bit. Now the zoom is not working anymore. So on that text view, let's go and make it the text style bold. Let's make the size, let's say 18, to have it a bit bigger, and let's make the color hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Fs. So it's white. Let's set the gravity to center horizontal. Right, and now for that text view, let's just add some margins there. I'm going to have a margin at the top of, let's say 10, margin at the bottom of, let's say 10, and then we can have a left or an end and a start also, but I'm going to set the end and the start on this linear layout. So let's say the end there should be 30 and the start should be 30 as well. Now also on this linear layout, let's set a bottom margin of 30. Now on that text view, let's just call this one TV message, and we can refer to it later on. So this is how my toast will show, but now instead of going and saying the primary color there, so remember the question mark will go back to color primary for the selected theme. But now we have our background as toast back. So let's just use toast back there. Okay, so if you go then, you'll see that your toast will have these rounded corners. Now let's just quickly set up this toast in the main activity. So I will create a show toast method there at the bottom again. So let's say public void show toast, and we will pass in the message that we want to set to the toast. Now remember, we need to create an external view. So let's call this toast view equals get the layout inflator dot inflate. And what we want to inflate is that r.layout.toast. The second argument must be a view group. So we're going to say view group there. And then we're going to refer to our linear layout. So we're going to say find the view by its ID, r.id.linlay. And then that is the link to the external r.layout.toast. Now let's get a link to that text view on it. So we're going to say text view TV message equals Now it's on that toast view, so we're going to go call toast view dot find the view by its ID r.id.tv message. Now we have a link to the text view that is on that toast view, and to that text view we will set the text as this message that was passed into the method. Now let's set up the toast. So I'm going to start with toast, just a normal toast. Toast equals new toast. Passing in the context, in this case it is just the this keyword. Now for the toast, what I'm going to do is to set first the duration, and the duration I would like as length.long or length long. Then we need to set the view, and the view will be this link there, toast view. And then we can set the gravity. So I'm going to call set gravity, and for the gravity I'm going to use gravity dot bottom again, and I'm going to use with it again gravity dot full horizontal, and then have my offsets 0 and 0 again like in the previous video, and then we'll start showing the toast. So this is the show toast method, and we can set that show toast method up as soon as we click the button. So let's just go and do that button quickly. So on your main activities layout file, let's just add a button there. Go into text. I'm going to change the constraint layout here to a linear layout. I'm going to set the orientation to vertical, and let's remove that text view, and now let's add a button. So I'm going to drag in one button into that linear layout that's vertical. Let's set the margin at the top as 50 or something, just to move it down a bit. And let's say on the end we make 30, and on the start also 30. Now if we want to go into this button's text now, we can just say show toast there for the text. Go down a bit and set the text color to a #12345 Fs, so that's white. And then we can go and set for this background also, we can use that same toast background, and there you've got it. That's my button now. And now let's just give the button an ID, btn, let's just call it show, btn show. Let's go back to the main activity, and we'll have a button declared at the top, btn show. After set content view, we can call it btn show equals find the view by its ID r.id.btn show. And then we can start with the on-click listener there. So we can say set on-click listener, new on-click listener, and this is where we want to show the toast. So I'm going to call show toast, and we can say then button successfully clicked. There we go. Button successfully clicked. Let's try it out quickly. Right, so there you can see your show toast button. If I click on it, button successfully clicked. Now if I go to settings and I change the theme again to red and go back, the button changed, the toast changed 100%. So now the only thing left to do is to show and hide this button now on the main activity. So currently it's showing showing all the time, doesn't matter what you do here. So we need to get this preference value and check if it is false, we're not going to show the button, and if it is true, we need to show the button. Okay, so that's not too difficult to do. Let's go back to the main activity. There we declared the button, there we set up the button, and now just somewhere in between here, we can go and see what is the preference and then set it. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to use this same declaration there, shared preferences SP, use it at the top. So then as soon as you call set theme, that shared preferences will be created. There it is, and we've got a hold of that shared preference. So then we can just go and set it here. If the shared preference that's currently saving the data to, where we're currently saving the data. Now this is the get boolean now, And remember what we called the key there under preferences. For the switch preference, the key is show underscore button. So I'm going to set that there. The key is show underscore button. And then the default value, we said the default value should be true. So let's just leave it there as true. So we're testing what is that value currently. If the show button is true, then we're gonna show this btn show. So we can say btn show dot set the visibility, and the visibility must be view dot visible. So if it is true, then it's going to be visible. The else part there is if it's false, that value, then we set the visibility to view dot gone. Right, so where am I? In the main activities on create, we're testing if that boolean value of show button is true, then we're going to show it as visible, the button. If it's false, we're going to go to not showing it. What is this default value? It's if there's no key called show button. So that's, for example, the very first time that you run the app, you won't have a shared preference there. And then it will go to the default value of true, which means it's going to show the button for us. So let's run this again and see if it works. Okay, so as soon as it runs, it throws you an exception. And if you go and have a look at the exception method or the message there, it says that we're calling a get boolean method on a null object reference. So let's just quickly have a look in our coding. So there we declared shared preferences at the top, and there we're using it. And I forgot to take away this declaration. So just take away the declaration because we already declared it at the top. So here we initialize it. We're getting the shared preference file, and then we can start using it. So it should work now. Let's run it again. Right, there we go. So show toast is working. Let's click on the settings. Let's change the theme to blue. Yes, it's working. Let's hide the button. Go back. Yes, the button is hidden. Now let's click again. Show the button. Go back. Button showing. Toast is working. Right, so that's the app. Changing the theme color for the whole application. And then we can show the toast, and the toast is also changing. So 100% this app is working. I think one extra thing that we can add in the styles, if we can just quickly have a look at the styles XML again, we can add another item here. So we can say item, and the item that I'm going to use here is the font family. So we can change fonts also on our themes. So let's say for the font family, you can go and search on the web on how to add extra fonts and so forth. But those that's available to us is the sans serif fonts. So let's say for the red style, we're going to use a sans serif thin type of font family. And then for the blue one, we'll just use a normal sans serif. And then we can also run this again, and we'll see some different fonts there depending on the theme that is selected. Let's just see it. Right, so you can see there for the red theme, it's a very thin theme there. And if I click on it, it's a thinner type of theme. And then if we change back to the blue one there, you'll see that the text is now different also. It's the normal sans serif. So let's just change this to sans serif. Let's make it a light and then run again. So blue will still look the same. Let's go to the red one quickly. Go back, and you can see it's like a lighter version for that one as well. Okay, so this is your application and your challenge. You can play around with this and see what type of applications you can come up with. Hope you've enjoyed this challenge. See you in the next one.